Hi everyone. Okay, I think we should start now. I'm going to share my screen. Today we are going to be learning about Africa and Australia. So a quick review of last times. Last time we learned about the 5 themes of geography: movement, region, human environment interaction, location, and place. I don't remember if I mentioned this, but a good way to remember it is with the acronym Mr. Help. Today we will be learning about Africa and Australia. Fun fact is that Africa has more genetic diversity than Asia and Europe combined, which is in some part because of the very landscape that we are going to be learning about today. Africa's location. Africa is south of Europe, east of the Americas, north of Antarctica, southwest of Asia, and west of Australia. And Africa is a very equatorial continent. The majority of the land is in the tropics, which is a belt of land north or south of the equator, which is very tropical and warmer than other regions. Regions of Africa. We have Northern Africa, Western Africa, Central Africa, Eastern Africa, and Southern Africa. And I just want to mention some of the important physical features that we might be talking about later. There's a very large desert, the Sahara Desert in the north, and the Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert in the world. South of that is the Sahel. The Sahel is a transition zone between the desert and the not desert, so it's more of a semi-arid place. And there is a very famous Congo rainforest in Central Africa. East of that, you have the Ethiopian highlands and the Great Rift Valley, which is a valley made up of different rifts between different tectonic plates. In the south, you have the Kalahari Desert and the Namib Desert. And it's not mentioned here, but there are also the Drakensberg Mountains on the east side of South Africa. In the north, there's also the Atlas Mountains. Important rivers are the Nile River, which is the longest river in the world, and the Congo River. Let's start with North Africa. The countries in North Africa are Egypt, Sudan, Libya, Algeria, and Morocco. So I can show them to you. This is Egypt. South of Egypt is Sudan. This is Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. The largest city is Cairo, which is in Egypt. And the population is around 250.5 million. And obviously a lot of it, this region is desert. So you see most of the people live around the coast. The Atlas Mountain region is pretty densely populated, and along the coast and the Nile River, there are more people living there because you need water to survive. So people tend to collect near the places with water. The religion is more than 90% Sunni Muslim in all of these countries because it is the closest to the Middle East where Islam originated. Most of the languages here are Berber or Arabic. Physical features are the Atlas Mountains, the Nile River, and the Sahara Desert. These are just a few pictures that I included. This is a town in Tunisia, Sidi Bou Said, I think. It's a nice place that people like to go to on vacation. This is Bab Bou Jalaud in Morocco. I think it is in Fez. It means the blue gate, and I included it because I think it is very pretty. These are the Great Pyramids in Egypt. They are thousands of years old, and Egypt is one of the oldest civilizations on Earth. These are very famous and actually right outside of Cairo, Egypt. In West Africa, we have Benin, Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, the Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, the Ivory Coast, Liberia, Mauritania, Mali, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Togo. The largest city is Lagos, which used to be the largest in Africa, but now it's the second largest. 381 people live here, and it is pretty densely populated, especially in Nigeria, which is the country with the largest population in all of Africa. Nigeria is this one. Religion in the northern countries like Mali and Niger, you might have Islam, but in the south it's Christianity, and there's also a mix of traditional African religions. Languages, French is spoken a lot here because of the previous colonialism, so as Portuguese and English, and Arabic because some of these countries are Islamic. Physical features are plains, forests, Sahel, and the Sahara Desert in the north. Some pictures I included is Timbuktu in Mali, which is a site of learning. Used to be the center of a very powerful empire, the Mali Empire, which was also very rich in gold. And people came here to learn and study. And this is Victoria Island in Nigeria. Central Africa, we have Angola, Burundi, Cameroon, the Central African Republic, Chad, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Rwanda, and Sao Tome and Principe. The largest city is Kinshasa, which I believe is also the largest city in all of Africa. The population is 121 million, and it's denser around the Congo River and Rift Lakes. It's still more dense than other places, but not as dense as some other places. The main religion here is Christianity, although some countries are Islamic, like Chad, but most of the countries in Central Africa are more Christian. The languages are Arabic, French, English, Portuguese, Spanish, and Sango. And Sango is like the African language, and the rest of them are from colonialism. Physical features are the Congo River, Lake Chad, plateaus, and the Congo rainforest. Lake Chad is a big lake next to Chad and other countries, and there are also just plateaus here. This is the Congo River. This is Luanda, which is the capital of Angola. And this is Sao Tome and Principe. Sao Tome and Principe is a very small island country in the Atlantic Ocean. Eastern Africa. Countries in Eastern Africa are South Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Mozambique, Zambia, Madagascar, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Djibouti. The largest city is Dar es Salaam, which is in Tanzania. The population is 395 million people, and it's pretty dense. Religion is mostly Christianity here due to colonialism, and some languages, there are a lot of languages: English, Tigrinya, Arabic, Amharic, Somalia, Swahili, French, Kinyarwanda, Kirundi, Portuguese, Shona, and Malagasy. The physical features are the Serengeti, which is a large plain in Africa, and it's known for animal migrations such as zebras and water buffalo. The Great Rift Valley, which we talked about previously. The Ethiopian Highlands, which are lands in Ethiopia, higher in altitude than other places. And there are also different lakes around the rift. Some sites I included was Mount Kilimanjaro, and that should say Tanzania. I wrote Kenya by accident, but Mount Kilimanjaro is the tallest mountain in all of Africa. And Victoria Falls, which is on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe. Victoria Falls is one of the biggest waterfalls in the world, and it is pretty famous. Some other sites I included were the Church of St. George in Ethiopia. Unlike other African countries, Ethiopia is not Christian because of colonialism. Christianity in Ethiopia is actually hundreds of years old, and is one of the first places to adopt Christianity. So I believe this church has been around since the 1100s. And this is the Riyahada Mosque in Kenya. It is a library, and I believe it has been operating since the 1400s. Africa is a very old place. Humans actually first originated in Africa. Southern Africa has countries such as Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini. The largest city is Johannesburg, which is in South Africa, and the population is 68.3 million. Most people live in the western places because that should say in the eastern places, because in the west there's the Kalahari and Namib deserts. These are very dry places and very hard places to live, so less people live there. Most people are Christian, but like all of the other places, there is some mix. Languages are English, German, Sotho, Swati Zulu, Xhosa, and Afrikaans. Physical features are the Kalahari Desert, Namib Desert, and Drakensberg Mountains. Some sites I included were Cape Town in South Africa. In the background, you can see that there's Table Mountain, which is a flat-topped mountain, and it's very famous. This is the Namibian coast, which is also called the Skeleton Coast, because even though there's the ocean right there, it's still a very hostile place to live. And there are hyenas and stuff that like to eat things there. This is Lesotho. Lesotho is more of a highlands place. So even though it's Africa and most people associate Africa with hot, Lesotho is actually much cooler because it is in the mountains. So it's very different than some other places. I know I went through that really fast, so if you have any questions, please leave them here so that I can answer them. And I think we should take a short break now before we go on to the rest. If you have a question, you could just type it in the chat since you can't unmute. Okay, then I'll move on. So does most of Africa have deserts or lands? I think that's a good question. Africa, in some places, there are deserts, and in some other places, it's more rainforest and lush. As you can see on this map, like other places in the world, directly around the equator, which is around here, is more green, but above and below the equator is more desert. Like the Sahara and the Kalahari Desert, but in between there is lush forest and rainforest. Okay. So since we don't have any other questions, I will just move on to the Australia part. A fun fact is that prehistoric Australian Aborigines could outrun Usain Bolt because before agriculture, humans were much fitter. Australia is south of most places like Asia, Europe, it's west of Africa. The Aborigines were the natives to the Australians. So right now when you go to Australia, you'll probably see mostly white people, but before the white people came, there were natives to the land and they were called Aborigines. Yeah, I definitely encourage questions, so don't be afraid to ask. Australia and other countries over here are not technically part of Australia because they're not really part of a continent, but so that no place doesn't have a continent, a lot of people just include them with Australia and call it Oceania. So we will be looking at these today. So I am dividing Australia. Australia is a continent and a country. So this whole country is called Australia, and it takes up the entire continent of Australia, and they both have the same name. So, yeah. And Australia, there's mostly desert around here. Australia is pretty dry, but it does have a couple spots of tropical rainforest in the north, and in the south, it is much more lush. The capital of Australia is Canberra, but it used to be Melbourne, and they had an argument on if it was going to be Melbourne or Sydney, so they made a compromise and made it Canberra. So this is where most of the people live. Okay, Australia, countries, it's just Australia. The largest city is Sydney, and it has 26.36 million people living in it. Most people live around the coast, especially in the south, because it's hard to live in a desert. Religion is Christianity, and most people here speak English because it was colonized by Britain. There's the outback. There are lots of deserts here, but there is rainforest in some places, and the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef is the biggest reef in the whole world, and it is right outside of Australia. Looks like this. I also included the Sydney Opera House, which is an opera house in Sydney designed to look like sailboats. It is very iconic, and it is a symbol of Sydney in Australia. And there they have concerts and other things like, I don't know, singing, orchestras. Well, it's an opera house, so they probably have concerts and theater stuff there. Uluru is a big rock in the middle of Australia. Some people say that it's the biggest monolith in the world, which means that it is a one single rock, not multiple rocks, like a different mountain might be. And it's actually very sacred to the Aborigines that live here. Other than that, there's also Oceania, which is the countries of Micronesia, Fiji, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Nauru, New Zealand, Palau, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu. Around 117 million.3 people live here. Not many people live here for how big it is. It's definitely much less dense than other places like West Africa and Eastern Africa, which we looked at before. Most people are Christian because of colonialism again. People speak a lot of different languages here. English, Fijian, Hindi, Kiribati, Marshallese, Nauruan, Maori, Tok Pisin, Harry, Motu, Samoan, Tongan, Tuvaluan, Finch, and Bislama. And other than English and Finch, most of these are from the native places. Hindi is because some places like Fiji have a lot of Indian people that live there. Papua New Guinea especially has a lot of rainforest. The Southern Alps are in New Zealand. And yeah, they just have a lot of coral reefs and atolls and small islands here. This is Mount Cook in New Zealand, and that's the Solomon Islands. And this is the Papua New Guinea rainforest. What country has the most population? I believe it is New Zealand. So we are definitely ahead of time right now, so we can have extra time for questions today. We can take a short break before we have the Kahoot because that's all I have planned. If Uluru was turned sideways, it would be taller than Mount Everest. I haven't heard of that, but I think it seems really likely because it is very big. So you guys can go to the bathroom or whatever, and I think we will resume at 4:30. We're starting Kahoot at 4:30, and we're taking a break right now. How many states are in Australia? Australia has states and territories. There are 5. They're pretty simple. It's just named after where they are, like Northern Territory, Western Australia, and stuff. But there's also Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. And what is my favorite, Australia or Africa? I don't think you can really compare different places in the world, but Africa is much bigger, so it does, just due to its size, have a lot more stuff going on. Australia is really nice to vacation and have nice beaches there, and New Zealand's pretty cool, and people just like to go to the tiny islands on vacation because they're pretty and majestic. But Africa has a lot of rich culture and history. I think they're about equal. I don't know why it was named Australia, so if you could share that to other people. Kentucky? Oh, probably not a coincidence that I'm also from Kentucky. Texas? Yeah, a lot of people live in Texas. Those are the states and territories of Australia. Yeah, we will be studying the Kahoot now. Just setting it up. You're Stephanie? Oh yeah, I know you. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now because we are studying the Kahoot. I know today was more of a boring lecture class, so I'm going to try to make next time's class a little bit more interactive. Oh yeah, if you don't know how to do it, you can go to www.kahoot.it or the app and just type in the pen and your name. Does anybody want to join that hasn't joined yet? Okay. So has everybody joined that wants to join now? No, okay. We have a long time. Okay. I think I have to start now to be good time-wise. That's just her. The answer is Egypt. I didn't really mention it that much, but yeah, the Nile River flows north until the Mediterranean Sea at Egypt. Timbuktu is in Mali. It was the Sandy building, that I said was the center of the Mali Empire and people went there to learn. Come on, Joe. This Kahoot's pretty good, so it's okay if you don't get all of them. Australia. English. Last question. Technically, it could be east too, but it's much closer if you head west. Congratulations to Zoe, me, and Zara. And also Stephanie Aronoff. Okay, that is done with my class. The next class is forensics. No, I think it's hereditary and genetics with Brenda. So my class is over. Bye.